Frenzy, invincibility, pure madness. The berserkers of the Vikings were feared warriors. But what drove them to their wild bloodlust? Was it mystical rituals, psychedelic plants, or even secret brews? My name is Special Agent Anderson. I will tell you the truth about the drugs that made these brutal fighters invincible. The Berserkers, legendary warriors of Norse culture, are considered one of the most fascinating and mysterious figures of the Viking Age. They are described in numerous legends and myths that praise their incredible fighting fury, their almost indomitable strength, and their unshakable courage. These warriors are said to have gone completely out of control during their berserker rage, a kind of battle-induced frenzy, with no regard for their own safety. In this state, they are said to have felt neither pain nor fatigue. Even the most serious injuries could not stop them. Their enemies feared them so much that they were often regarded as supernatural beings sent by the gods themselves, especially Odin, the Norse god of war, ecstasy, and wisdom. In Norse culture, berserkers were often regarded as demigods or warriors imbued with divine power. However, despite the numerous tales, the exact cause of their berserker rage remains a mystery. There are various hypotheses as to how they may have reached this state, with psychological, ritual, and chemical factors all being considered. One of the best-known theories is the possible use of the fly agaric, Amanita muscaria, a conspicuous mushroom with a red cap and white dots that was widespread in the Nordic region. This mushroom contains psychoactive substances such as muscimol and ibotenic acid, which can cause hallucinations, increased excitability, and insensitivity to pain. It is believed that the berserkers either consumed this mushroom raw or used it in special preparations to put themselves into a trance-like state that suppressed their fear and increased their aggression. Some researchers argue that the described symptoms of the berserker gang, such as exaggerated rage, distorted perception, and superhuman endurance, could correspond well with the effects of the fly agaric. A similar theory relates to the use of henbane, Hyoscyamus niger, a plant also found in the Nordic region and known for its psychoactive effects. Henbane contains tropane alkaloids such as hyoscyamine and scopolamine, which can cause strong hallucinations, delirium, and excitement. It was often used for medicinal and ritual purposes in the Middle Ages, and may have been used by berserkers as a kind of war drug to heighten their senses and increase their aggression. In addition to the use of psychoactive substances, there are also theories that point to the possibility that the berserkers achieved their extraordinary fighting rage through ritual practices and mental techniques. These may have included ecstatic dances, chants, or meditations that served to put the warriors into a trance-like frenzy. Comparable to the practices of shamanic cultures, the berserkers may have been able to strengthen their minds and bodies through these rituals and establish a kind of spiritual connection with Odin. It is known that Odin was worshipped in Norse mythology as the god of ecstasy and war, and the berserkers often considered themselves to be his special followers. They often wore animal skins, especially those of bears or wolves, to embody the power and spirit of these animals, which enhanced their fearsome appearance. This symbolic connection to wild animals could also point to a deep-rooted ritual tradition that helped the berserkers to shed their human inhibitions and take on the characteristics of predators. Historically, the exact cause of the berserker rage remains unclear, as there is no direct archaeological or written evidence that clearly demonstrates the use of specific substances or techniques by the berserkers. Most accounts of the berserkers come from sagas and chronicles that were not written down until many centuries after the Viking Age. These texts were often written by Christian authors, who may have tended to portray the berserkers as savage, uncivilized heathens in order to emphasize the superiority of Christian culture. As a result, many details may have been exaggerated or distorted. Nevertheless, the fascination with the berserkers remains unbroken to this day. They symbolize the brute strength, unbridled will, and spiritual devotion of the Viking Age, and continue to give rise to speculation about the limits of body and mind. Whether their frenzy was based on psychoactive substances, ritual practices, or pure mental strength, The berserkers remain an impressive testament to the power of the human spirit in extreme situations.